UFC 313 is just a day away. March 8th, we see Magomed Ankalaev, someone who at one point in time I said will be champion, against Alex Pereira, debatably the most dangerous light heavyweight fighter of all time, debatably one of the most dangerous fighters of all time, and someone who's going on an absolutely insane all-star run in the UFC right now. Quite the fan favorite, and someone I plan to see for quite a few years in the UFC and being successful. With that being said, we have an amazing card from top to bottom, in my opinion. And I will say something. I believe this card is filled with 50-50 fights. I do not think a lot of these odds make a lot of sense. And I'm going to break all that down for you. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe, guys. I talk picks, predictions, and of course, best bets. Now, I get this question often. Do the bets I mention here have anything to do with my exclusive bets on Instagram? Absolutely not. What I'm telling you here is what I believe has some sort of value. At the end of the day, what I give to my subscribers is ultimately what I want to lock in, what I think I'm most confident in, and that's what I put on my Instagram. It's $4.99 a month. If you're interested, go check out my Instagram. We're almost at 90,000 followers. And if you're new here on YouTube, I'm trying to grow. Please subscribe. I'm going to be telling you what bets have the best value. There's a difference. Don't go crazy betting on everything I say. What has the best value, and of course, what to stay away from. But guys, if you're interested in hearing all the breakdowns, stick around. Let me know what you think below. And again, please subscribe. I appreciate all the support. Starting off the night with a very interesting fight, guys. We have Jordan Santos versus Ozzy Diaz, and I'm not one to rank fighters, names, physiques, anything like that. But what in the world is going on with Jordan Santos's first name, Jordan? That is a clear mix-up between the parents who were like, yeah, write it down, Jordan. And she's like, you know what? Throw two D's in there. Let's be creative. And the dad threw the D in the front. Jordan, what the hell are you doing? That's exactly how you pronounce it, by the way. Like Michael Jordan, but I just think it's unfair. Unfair to him, unfair to us, unfair to John Anik. Anyway, here we go. Jordan Santos versus Ozzy Diaz, guys. Ozzy Diaz, in my opinion, is not a UFC caliber fighter. Someone who does have a fight in the UFC, it is a loss, versus Jordan Santos, who is making his debut. If you guys follow me, you know I'm not a huge fan of betting on debuts, regardless of what the odds look like, regardless of who they're fighting. I don't like it. Off the bat, I'm telling you to stay away in this fight unless you're running with a fight to go the distance bet. So a prop bet. What I think is going to happen is Jordan Santos is going to be able to outstrike Ozzy Diaz. I think he is the better mixed martial artist. I think he is the better striker, and I think he should win here. I think he does it. I think he might get a finish. I think that's very possible, and I'm going to go right into this because right now Santos is a minus 200. That line is kind of getting closer now, and Ozzy Diaz is a plus 155. I don't think there's value in either of those guys. Fight to not go the distance is minus 195. I don't think this goes the distance, but I'll tell you what, this is going to be a pretty sloppy fight. I think for 2 rounds, if we get to 2 complete rounds, they're going to be throwing whatever they have. I don't think it's going to be a technical matchup. I think you're going to feel like it's low-level mixed martial arts. And then if we get into the 3rd round, I think we're going to see sloppy behavior, like completely sloppy. Both guys winded. They're clinched up, leaning on each other's chest. They're being separated. They're throwing, these crazy hooks, overhead hooks. And I could see a sloppy path right into a decision. I wouldn't doubt it. Am I betting on it? No. I'm most likely staying away from this fight. If you think of anything, I think it's if the fight goes the distance. I'm going to keep it at that, guys. Let's break down some more intense fights. Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. There was some mix-up with both of these guys and their opponents. Ultimately, we get Chris Gutierrez taking on the up-and-comer John Castaneda. Off the bat, what I see here, and the huge difference I see here is experience. We have Chris Gutierrez coming in with a buckload of experience in the UFC and mixed martial arts, and John Castaneda, just not as much, has not dealt with the same level of competition. Now, what I do believe stylistically is that there are some similarities in this matchup, right? I think both of these guys are pretty good technical strikers. They're quick, and they're going to be looking to push the pace. I don't see a lot of counter striking here. I think both guys are going to get after it. And my issue with this fight is that I think whoever outpaces the other, whoever has the volume, and I was about to say whoever lands more damage. Yeah, no shit, that's the winner. But truly, I really think it has to do with who's moving forward for the majority of the fight. I don't like either of these guys moving backwards. And their success rate when doing so. I think both of these guys are go-getters as strikers, and I think whoever could continue to do so for 15 minutes wins this fight. Now, when I look at this line, I see Chris Gutierrez minus 125, Castaneda minus 105. If you see here, I literally did this today. These odds were from 15 minutes ago. The UFC doesn't update their freaking website. There's a lot of work to do there for them. However, Right now, Chris Gutierrez is the favorite. So there has been a line flip. I like Chris Gutierrez here. I'm going to lean on experience. John Castaneda is proving himself little by little. But again, I just don't think it's been the same type of competition. I think Chris Gutierrez just is going to come in here and out experience a guy who just hasn't been at the same level. It's that straightforward. But ultimately, check out those live odds because whoever's pushing the pace, in my opinion, wins this fight. Going to be very close, going to be very good. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but seriously, I haven't watched a card in a long time where I go down the whole list and like 9 out of 12 of them, in my opinion, should be closer to pick them. Like it's been a really long time since the matchmakers have done this to me. And I don't know if there's some sort of bias with me today. Some of my favorites are fighting, but I'm like almost in awe. But we move on. And great stylistic matchups too. Marin Santos, Francis Marshall. Guys, Marin Santos is the real deal. He's this guy who's going to be patient with his shots. He picks them. He puts them where they need to be. He's a powerful guy. He's Brazilian. Not that it has anything to do with it, but he's the real deal. I like this kid. He has a bright future ahead of him. If you ask me prior to watching Francis Marshall's last fight, I would have been like, hey, these odds should be minus 700 for Santos. But Francis Marshall had one hell of a fight. One hell of a fight coming into this one. And now it leads me to believe that this fight's going to be a little closer than the odds makers want us to think. Santos is minus 350, which for me is a little heavy to lean on him because neither of these guys are proven. Neither of them, right? So minus 350 is a little heavy. Marshall's at plus 240. There is some underdog value here. And what I'm going to say is if Marshall is able to get these takedowns early, because he's going to look for them, right? He's going to mix in this striking. Maybe he might out-volume Santos initially. But if he finds takedowns, I'm a little concerned for Santos. I want to see how he's going to do on his back. I want to see how he's going to do under pressure. And if we go into that third round, I want to see how he's going to do with a full fight of grappling. Because that's what Marshall's hunting, in my opinion. Striking's not bad, but I don't think the game plan's to strike with Santos. Because like I said, Santos is that sniper just waiting for his shot, and he's going to find it. I truly believe that. Long story short, I do like Santos. Something's telling me inside the distance. I kind of like that. Inside the distance in this fight, it's going to be plus 115, so plus money inside the distance. And that's just because I think both of these guys are going to go out there, try to prove something. They're both very talented. I think someone finds something. I lean towards Santos with a knockout there. If we go specific for Santos knockout, we're looking at plus 180. I'd rather just fight not to go the distance. I don't like the 180 just for the knockout. And then Francis Marshall, check this out. Check this out. By decision, plus 425 if you think you're going the distance and he gets some grappling going. Value there, ladies and gentlemen. Francis Marshall by knockout, plus 1600. That might be a shot to take. And Francis Marshall by submission, plus 1100. I don't suspect that one, but I don't know, man. That's those some of those odds are crazy. Might have to sprinkle something on there, but that's that fight. And again, guys, I'm moving quick just because I want to get to that main event. I want to get to the main card for you guys. Alex Morono, Carlos Leal. Guys, Carlos Leal looked fucking nuts in his last fight against Renat Fakhreddinov. Nuts. And he won that fight, let's be clear. And when you're dealing with someone like Alex Morono, someone who's a very good mixed martial artist, someone, in my opinion, who doesn't get enough credit for his abilities, someone who walks into a room and looks like an average Joe. Look at his physique compared to Carlos. That guy's really freaking good. Alex Morono's a great mixed martial artist, and he doesn't do himself justice. This guy should be looking for grappling exchanges at times. This guy should be hunting submissions, and he doesn't do it. He gets up and he wants to brawl. He wants to get into trouble. He wants to test out his heart. He wants to fast forward into a world of CTE for himself. And then he just starts throwing spinning shit while his hands are down and he's exhausted, and he puts on a show. And I respect him for it, because that's probably why he's going to keep his contract for another couple of years, because he's dealing with some losses and some issues in the UFC. But that son of a gun is a backyard dog, even though he doesn't look like it. A junkyard dog, even though he doesn't look like it. But Carlos Leal is a great mixed martial artist, has a buckload of experience. Not that Alex doesn't, but I think Carlos Leal looks so good in his last fight. I cannot count on him against Alex Morono, especially when Alex Morono has been so inconsistent and shows a low level of IQ when he's in the octagon. Because I think you Not that it's his coach's fault, but let's say you change his coach's staff, they say you need to do this, this, and this, and I think Morono goes in there and just does whatever he wants and looks for a dogfight, and that's not someone I want to bet on. Alex Morono plus 475, Carlos Leal minus 800. Nuts. Nuts. Do I think Alex wins this fight? No. Is it possible? Duh. But I'm not touching this fight. I'm not touching this fight. When I click on it, fight to go the distance, plus 130 for it to go the distance. I don't think that's bad because Morono's freaking tough. That's not a bad line. Not a bad line at all. The over-under for 2.5 is both minus 110. So, if you think there's a finish, there it is. But Carlos Leal, if he looks anything like he looked like against Renat Fakhretdinov, just full on. But minus 800, I'll never tell you to bet on a fighter who's minus 400 or above. I wouldn't throw them in a parlay. I wouldn't do anything like that. Those who learned their lesson with Peyton Talbot, think about that loss, minus 1300, and he lost. So think about it. Take a second. My pick is Carlos Leal. I think he outpaces him. I think he's stronger. I think he's the more technical fighter here. I think he's not going to make the mistakes. I think this is an easy one. Now getting to the fun stuff. Bruno Ferreira, Armen Petrosyan. And we have Bruno Ferreira plus 110 underdog, Armen Petrosyan minus 140. Let's break down both of these guys real quick. And this is where the video gets good because now I get a little more passionate about it all. So Bruno Ferreira, also known as the Hulk, right? Known as the Hulk. Why? Because he's going to walk in, he's going to look for the finish, and he's going to hunt it for 5 minutes. And he gets real close in all of his fights. If he gets it or he doesn't, he is coming for blood, and he is one powerful son of a gun. He really is scary for 5 minutes. If you bet against him, you're holding your breath for 5 minutes. He is that good. But he's known for pushing that pace with diesel in his tank for 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden we start slowing down. And now our aggressive push, our volume, our, let's say, not so technical strikes look a little looser. We look a little more tired. There's not enough oomph. We're not damaging our opponent as much when we're making contact with anything. So what happens? He starts getting broken apart. So now, put that aside. Let's go to Armen Petrosyan. Armen Petrosyan is a scary, let me repeat myself, a scary kickboxer. And everybody wants to talk about this double spinning back fist by Shara Bullet that put him out, and he was a highlight. Armen Petrosyan was winning that fight. Armen Petrosyan was pushing forward, was outstriking Shara Bullet, was landing the more damaging shots, and up to the point where he got hit with the spinning back fists, 2 of them, you're not used to hearing that, he was winning the fight. So I think Bruno Ferreira is extremely dangerous in round number 1, like everybody's going to tell you. But if he tires out, which we've seen before, if he conks out in round 2, now you're just opening up a can of worms. You're opening up this world for Armen Petrosyan to just go in with his kickboxing style, which is extremely uncomfortable, extremely effective. And there is something about Armen Petrosyan that's so impressive. If there's something that's so impressive about him, is his ability to manage distance. The guy will kick you and he'll be 7 feet away. He'll punch you twice. He'll be 9 feet away. And the way he manages comes in and out. It's freaking beautiful. He has that white stance. He's a very dangerous fighter. He can be looking for a finish. I think the bets here are Bruno Ferreira round number 1, Ferreira round number 1, or Armen Petrosyan round 2 or 3. I know, sounds very freaking basic. I'm just throwing these out here, but you got to check out these numbers. So we go to, the UFC exclusives haven't come out for this fight. So I'm going to look for round lines. I mean, for specific rounds to win for these guys. But Bruno Ferreira to win by knockout plus 230. There's value there. Petrosyan to win by knockout plus 230 as well. I don't like it. Fight to go the distance, yes, is plus 150, and no is minus 195. I don't see this fight going the distance, but of course it's possible. There might be a more technical standoff between these guys for longer than we think, and maybe Bruno can get going at the end of the day when you're just a rush and gush at your opponent type of striker. You're gonna have issues when you're moving up the rankings. And someone like Armen Petrosyan, a freaking decorated kickboxer, someone who's very good at what he does, I think he is very live to get through round number 1. With all that being said, I wanted to paint that picture for you, I am going Bruno Ferreira, and this is the aspect of this fight I did not mention. Bruno Ferreira can definitely, although I hope his exhaustion doesn't kick in later into the fight, is someone who could mix in the grappling. And now, coming off of a loss, I want to say Bruno Ferreira is not going to go in there and just kind of pump and dump on Armin Petrosyan. And I know that's not a common term for fighting, but I'm hoping he's not going to just get reckless and empty the tank on Armin Petrosyan. Because if he just pushes forward, does what he usually does, leaves a little more in the gas tank, now we could get to grappling. We could open up a different realm for Armin Petrosyan, because if he lands damaging shots, now you open up the takedown. And if he takes down Armin Petrosyan, now we got a different fight. And now Bruno Ferreira looks live for a finish in general, because I do think he could find a sub. So I like Bruno Ferreira. He's the underdog right now, guys. He is plus 110. I am putting a unit. I just gave something away. If you saw 15 minutes of my video, there you go. I gave you one of my underdog bets today is Bruno Ferreira, and I'm living with it and I'm sticking with it. But that is a good fight, and I'm excited for it. Joshua Van Ray Tsuruya. Guys, I bet against Joshua Van one time. It was the last time he fought against Cody Durden. I was worried that he was not going to be able to deal with the pace that Cody Durden could push forward with the grappling. I thought that eventually, even though I believe in Joshua Van's defensive takedowns, takedown defense, better said, since I believe in that, I said Cody Durden is so persistent, he'll eventually get it. And even though that did happen a couple of times, Joshua Van absolutely picked apart Cody Durden. And Cody Durden's good. I don't care what anybody says. So now we have Ray Tsuruya, someone who is extremely inexperienced as far as this competition, and someone who's looking to grapple, someone who's looking to take down Joshua Van, but someone who will work on the ground. Ray Tsuruya can be dangerous. Ray Tsuruya is not one of these grapplers or wrestlers that's going to take you down and keep you there. No. Well, he is. He will do that. But he's hunting, and he's looking for a finish, and he's looking to advance position. And that's why I like this guy. I think he's extremely dangerous. So for him, follow your game plan, man. Take down Joshua Van. And let me tell you something. This is a type of fight you got to look at the live odds. If Ray Tsuruya could get Joshua Van down in the first minute and a half to 2 minutes of any of the rounds, he's freaking live. But what I will say is, as long as they're standing, Joshua Van is going to absolutely pick apart this gentleman. Is going to absolutely pick apart this guy. And guess what? When you're getting picked apart, when you're feeling the damage from Joshua Van, when your eyes are swelling up, and when you get cut open, you're not going to be as good when you're coming in and trying to take this guy to the cage, especially someone who's such an athlete, someone who has such great center of gravity. Joshua Van is hard to take down. So I think Joshua Van is my pick. His precision, his output, his cardio. I think he's live the whole fight for a finish. I think he just needs to stay away from the early takedowns. I think the early takedowns predict this fight. Once he starts picking apart Ray Tsuruya, I think it stops there. I think he continues to do so. I think this is going to be very similar to the Cody Durden fight. I'm all over Joshua Van. I think he's going to stop that takedown. But I also want you to pay attention to how Ray Tsuruya starts trying to take people down. This is not like classic wrestling. This guy goes for trips, goes for whatever the heck he sees. He's going to find a way to get your body on the ground. So very excited for this fight. Joshua Van might be in a parlay, a money line parlay. Curtis Blaydes against Rizvan Kuniev. Look at that guy. Stay looking. Look at him again. I'm going to give this guy a few seconds. You don't mess with that guy. Like, that's the real world guy you see at a bar that you're like, let's not upset that dude, because I don't know if he's angry, if he's hungry. I don't know if he has indigestion. That guy looks so freaking upset at everybody for no reason. And he has that, like, what we would call like that. For me, it's like hillbilly strength. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's Russian. He's not saying hillbilly strength. But that guy got that mountain strength. You know what I mean? That guy's taking down trees with karate chops. All right? And enough about this little segment, this joke. But that guy's a problem, and that guy has a lot of power. And now we lie somewhere with Curtis Blaydes that he can't be trusted. At least I feel he can't be trusted. And this is a title contender. This guy has fought the best in the world. Not some of the best in the world. He's fought them. He's coming off a rough loss against Tom Aspinall. that rearranged his chin and he had to reevaluate his life basically. And it's not the first time we see him get chinned. So Curtis Blaydes, being that he's in the heavyweight division, makes me nervous because almost everybody has that type of power in their hands. Not everybody's as technical. Not everybody's as good. Not everybody translates it as well in the octagon. But Curtis Blaydes has chin issues. And right now, he is a minus 350 favorite against someone who's extremely unproven, 2 0, and making his debut. What in tarnation? So if you ask me, are you going dog here? Hell no, I already told you I don't like the debuts. But are you telling me, are you asking me to put Curtis Blaydes in a parlay or to run his money line at minus 350 against anyone right now? Hell no. This is what I'm going to say about UFC matchmakers. To see Curtis Blaydes go from fighting the interim champion of the world to Rizvan Kuniev, who nobody knew who he was. You have to be an ultra fan who, keeps up with Dana White's Contender Series, UFC. You're on Tapology every day. Those are the type of people who know who Kuniev is. Guys, there's nothing in this fight I like at all except a long shot, and it's Kuniev to knock out Curtis Blaydes. Now, my pick is Blaydes because Blaydes, in my opinion, is going to be the more technical fighter, the better mixed martial artist, someone who can rely on wrestling. Doesn't use it though. Let's write that down somewhere. Curtis Blaydes does not use his wrestling, so I almost X that out because I don't know, he fell in love with his hand somewhere along the line. But let's see. Rizvan Kuniev to win by knockout in round number 1 is plus 1300. I almost want to throw a whole unit. I almost want to throw 2 units at that just for fun because a plus 1300 return is nuts. Rizvan Kuniev to win by knockout in round 2 is plus 2000. I might have to do it. So round line, fight to go the distance, no, minus 175. I don't think this goes the distance. If it does, I'll be very surprised. But then again, maybe Blaydes decides to wrestle this fight. But guys, Blaydes should win this fight. Blaydes, I mean, the difference in mixed martial arts experience and skill set is ridiculous, and Blaydes should win this fight. But we're dealing with heavyweights, and we're dealing with somebody whose chin is non-existent at this point. I hate this fight. I don't want to bet anything but that prop bet. Please do not throw Curtis Blaydes in your prop bet. I mean, in your parlay. And if he wins, everyone's gonna be like, I should have done it. Not for 350. The risk is not there. The risk is not worth the reward, and I'm going to move on. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we go into the real tough stuff. And I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of 50-50s. This fight's not one of them, but the 4 remaining ones are. So stick around, listen up, and enjoy the show. Bobby Green against Mauricio Ruffy, and nobody wants to call him Bobby because he legally changed his name to King Green. Sir, I'm not calling you King. And I'm not calling you King because you let Patty Pimlet sleep you. I'm sorry. Ain't no king of mine getting slept by Patty Pimlet. And no disrespect to Patty, but you can't go out like that. You should have freaking tapped. But going to sleep? No, sir. You're going to be Bobby Green in this video. So let's talk about it. Bobby Green, a lot of experience, great striking, street style striking, very quick, very elusive. Doesn't necessarily have too much IQ when it comes to the fighting. He puts his hands down, does silly shit at times for entertainment. There is a level in MMA where that's just not a good idea. But nonetheless, puts on shows, puts on good fights, could definitely piece people up. Fantastic striker. Then we have Mauricio Ruffy, which at one point some might have said is the best fighting nerd. 1 point before his last fight. That's what people were saying. I always thought John Silva. You know what? Prates is a good second or maybe even first place, but I'm a big John Silva guy. Guys, Mauricio Ruffy did not look too hot in his last fight. And this is not me saying he looked bad. But I guess when you have a lot of hype around you, we want you to come in here and make and finish people. It's not always going to happen, but that's what we expect from you, especially from the fighting nerds. Now, he put a number on his opponent. He broke him down. He was doing crazy shit and landing it. And it's not our fault that he threw the kitchen sink at the guy and he kept moving forward. It's nobody's fault. And he did what he needed to do, but it wasn't enough to get the finish. He won, but he slowed down a little bit. And that drew some concern for me because Mauricio Ruffy had kind of like a Bruno Ferreira type of first round, just looking for a finish, looking for a finish, looking for a finish. And then bloop, we stopped. We slowed down. And he still looked elusive. He was still countering some crazy shit, but it wasn't at the level I think we all expected. With that being said, Mauricio Ruffy sits as a minus 500 favorite, and Bobby Green is plus 350. And the Hard Rock app actually doesn't have him under King Green. They have B Green. Do I think Bobby Green has any value here? No. Bobby Green, even though he's a slick and elusive striker, I think he's going to get outclassed by Mauricio Ruffy. And his chin, especially after that Jalen Turner fight, is just not there. He's getting older. This gentleman has 32, 16, and 1 no contest. Guys, we're at 50 fights for Bobby Green. This guy has gone through it all. This guy has taken damage. This guy has seen it all. So the experience I love, but Mauricio Ruffy, the up and comer who is throwing all sorts of tools inside the octagon and they're working, I think he just takes it. Is he a minus 500 favorite? Maybe not. But I don't know where the round line would be. Maybe minus 300. But I do think he's significantly better than Bobby Green at this point. I think he's a more complete fighter, and I think he's going to get him out of there. I think this fight does not go the distance. That is to not go the distance is minus 175. I might parlay that with something. Total rounds under 2.5 is minus 120. I like that a lot. I do think Mauricio Ruffy just breaks apart Bobby Green. I think he gets it done, and I think it's going to be one of those crazy, like the Jean Silva finish from a couple weeks back. That's my take. Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo. All right, guys, this is straight up. Amanda Lemos, when we talk about experience, I've been mentioning this with a few fighters. Lemos's experience is significantly better than Lucindo's. Lucindo's up and coming. Lemos has dealt with the best in the world. Lucindo hasn't. But we're dealing with a stylistic matchup. Lemos is extremely powerful, and she could end this fight at whatever moment. However, she is proven to have takedown defense issues. Lucindo, on the other hand, I'm not saying she's a bad striker, but she's not up to par with Lemos, and I think that's safe to say. I think she needs to grapple. I think she wants to grapple, and I think control time is what's going to win this fight. And I know sometimes lately, we're seeing it more and more that the damage is what's being taken into consideration more. Wasn't always the case for those who want to argue that, but now we're seeing more of that trend because that's what the scorecard is. That's what they want it to be. Who's landing more, not more strikes, but who's doing more damage? And I don't know why I just had a tongue twister there. So I think that Lucindo has this tendency of counter striking and waiting for the fight to come to her. At least when I was watching some fights, that's what I noticed. Not always the case, but often the case. She cannot let Lemos bring the fight to her. If Amanda Lemos brings the fight to Lucindo, Lucindo's going to sit back on that cage, and then Lemos is going to start picking her apart. I wouldn't be surprised if she finishes her. And once Lemos finds a groove, you are screwed because she's going to paint the town red with your blood. It's that simple. That was kind of corny, but you know what? I'll probably use that again. She's going to have a field day, guys. She's going to break her apart. So Lucindo cannot be on that little game where she's waiting to counter strike. I think Lucindo needs to get after it early. She needs to show her, hey, I'm willing to strike with you. And bam, boom, quick, boom, shot for the takedown, feinted the takedown. It is what it is. But now you have Lemos worrying about that. And then it opens up your striking. And if she's out striking you, then you got to find her to get down. Boom, half guard for 3 minutes, half guard for 3 minutes. And then the only thing with Lemos is you do have to be careful with the submission threat, because if Lucindo's riding her for 3 minutes at the half guard position, or gets a full guard, whatever she's looking for, but Lemos on her back is dangerous, and Lemos on her back could find something. And I'll give you a different situation. If Lemos does some damage, right, catches Lucindo, boom, pops her, makes her freeze, Lucindo goes for a desperate shot. We are live for a sub, ladies and gentlemen. A desperate takedown attempt by Lucindo could be the end of her. Mark my words. A desperate takedown attempt from Lucindo could be the end of her. Now, there's been an odds flip, and I'm all about it. With everything I just said, I'm going to have faith in Lucindo to get Lemos to the ground. I think Lemos had her time, and I think we're not slowly, actually. We're seeing her decline. I think we're going to ride that. I think she's coming down. I think Lucindo's coming up. And I think this is a test for her to prove that she should be in there with the best in the world. Lemos has proved that before, but she's on her way out. She's significantly older too. So I'm going on the young up-and-comer. I don't like experience in this fight. And that's what it is. Going Lucindo. Minus 140 favorite. Lemos plus 110. Jalen Turner, Bahamondes. Guys, I'm going to break this down fairly fast, fairly quickly. Jalen Turner, Ignacio Bahamondes, two freaking giants for 155. I have no idea how at 6'3" any of them make weight. But both of these guys are good strikers, durable, and are looking to finish the fight. Okay? Now, when I first saw this matchup, I gravitated towards Jalen Turner, who right now is a plus 100. So if you like that, dog value. Bahamondes minus 130. Guys, back to experience. And we're seeing a big gaps in experience, obviously. Jalen Turner has fought some of the best in the world in there. Dan Hooker, Renato Moicano. I'm in a blank now, but there's several of them. And he's either beat them, gotten close to beating them, or lost. What wasn't there with Gamrot too? So actually, he lost all those fights. But he's proven to be worthy of those matchups. Ignacio Bahamondes hasn't really given us that. But one thing Bahamondes has given me faith in is his chin and his durability. At one point in time, I would have said, and I did say a minute ago, that Jalen Turner is durable. But after watching that loss to Renato Moicano, I am just in awe because it's not the first time he kind of gives up a fight. Against Dan Hooker, we saw him fold. Then against Renato Moicano, you have him finished. He literally just needed to lean over him and throw one more strike. The ref would have stopped it. He walked away, and then he just got dog walked. And he looked like he gave up. He didn't know what to do. Someone who has several submissions on his win column in the UFC just let Renato Moicano full mount him and throw down elbows and the kitchen sink and put him out. I thought it was ridiculous. So when I have two guys who, in my opinion, are going to be striking, testing each other's durability, looking for a finish, am I going to go with the guy who's proven me wrong twice in the last couple of years? Someone who I'm going to start comparing to Kevin Holland in the way that he's unreliable? Or am I going to go with the young up-and-comer who's proven to take some crazy shots to the chin, keep pushing forward, and empty out the tank? You know that guy's exhausted, and he's still coming out there, and he's still out voluming his opponent, and he's throwing every punch and kick he can, even if it has no power behind it. That's what I'm going with. And in my opinion, whoever does that wins this fight. Similar to the Chris Gutierrez fight. Whoever is outpacing their opponent, whoever is moving forward, wins this fight. I don't care about the shots. I don't care about the takedowns. It's going to be who has the most heart and who is the most durable. Who could take the cleaner shots and keep moving forward. And in my opinion right now, that's Ignacio Bahamondes. If you asked me 3 years ago, I think that guy's Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner's live. And I'm not counting him out. But right now, I have to lean Ignacio. I think that's where that's the wise decision. This is a tough fight, and if you're betting on round lines, I'd be nervous as hell because I could see one of these guys getting finished, or I could see these guys taking it to the end. But if there's a finish, I do think it's Bahamondes finishing Jalen Turner. Again, anything could happen. I might stay away from that one. Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev, and I'm going on 33 minutes. My God, I've been yapping today. But now we get to the good stuff. Guys, Justin Gaethje. Come on. Look at that guy's resume. He has literally fought anybody who is anybody at 155. He was getting ready for a 5-round fight against Dan Hooker. And all anybody could think about right now is the fact that at UFC 300, with half a second left, the clock struck 1, and he got chinned. Max Holloway, one of the best featherweights of all time, one of the best and most durable UFC fighters of all time. He slept him with 1 second left. And now the story is Justin Gaethje's washed. He has no chin. He's getting older. Guys, have you seen Justin Gaethje lose before? Because I have. Have you seen him come back? I have. Have you seen him win off the comeback? I have. For Justin Gaethje, in my opinion, to just be an underdog here, based off of the ending of that last fight, is bananas. I don't know. Maybe I am really a casual, but I think it's bananas. And by the way, we've seen this matchup before. Not saying both guys are the same fighter they were 2 years ago, but we've seen this matchup before. And Justin Gaethje won, and it was a majority decision, if I remember correctly. But I think it was pretty clear that Gaethje won that fight. It wasn't like a robbery. Fiziev had nothing for him in the third round. He completely gassed out, and he was wearing all the damage in that fight. And then we go to the Fiziev side. And by the way, I was huge on Fiziev when he was active. When he was fighting Gamera, all my money was on Fiziev. All of it. And what happened? His knee freaking exploded. Fucking dynamite in there. Out. Inactive. 2 years. Rehab. Inactivity. And now he's going to step up. And I'm not going to say short notice, because a few weeks ago, he was saying that he told the UFC who was ready, and they weren't calling him or some bullshit like that. I think this guy's been rehabbing. I think this guy's been working. I think this guy's been in camp longer than maybe Justin Gaethje. So I'm not counting the whole off the couch thing, because he's not off the couch. I assure you that. But to have a guy who we have not seen after a brutal knee injury come in against Justin Gaethje, who's prepping for a 5-round fight against Dan Hooker, and you're going to make him the favorite? Maybe I'm the lunatic. I really am a casual. But to not take Justin Gaethje here, to not sprinkle something, to me is bananas. Justin Gaethje plus 130, Rafael Fiziev minus 170. I think this is straightforward. This is a degenerate gambler decision on who you think is going to win. I don't think Fiziev has. I don't see it's only minus 170, but I'm not too heavy on that at all. And I understand the risk here for Gaethje. I understand his chin might not be there. I understand that Fiziev just might outpace him this time. These are guys who've met in there before. But to count Justin Gaethje out, I'm going full degenerate bet. I'm all in. Give me a unit. Give me two. I got to watch him. I got to watch Justin Gaethje come off of a loss. I got to see him prep for a 5-round fight and then lose to a guy who hasn't fought in 2 years of a bad injury. Are we bananas? And let's not talk about the circumstances. Let's talk about the fighters. Justin Gaethje, who's going to move forward, freaking eat you alive with leg kicks, who has power in his hands, who's going to wear you down, who's going to break your face, and if he really wanted to, could take you down wrestling. And you're gonna tell me the technical, quick-footed, slick striking Rafael Fiziev is just gonna come in and dog walk him for 15 minutes? No. I'm all over Justin Gaethje here. I don't know if I'm being biased. Probably am. I'm waiting for the comments already, but all in on Justin Gaethje. Come back after the fight. If I was wrong, rank me. That's what I'm here for. But that's that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. Guys, Magomed Ankalaev, before he fought Jan Blachowicz, I said this guy's our next champion in the light heavyweight division. Of course, that fight happened. It was a draw. We have the Alex Pereira wave. He's fucking taking out everybody. There's been issues with Magomed Ankalaev being boring. The whole thing with Johnny Walker. There was a delay, a rematch. Long story short, here we are. And there's multiple narratives I want to address. The biggest one, Magomed Ankalaev is going to go in there and I'll wrestle the shit out of Alex Pereira. I don't think this is something that's unlikely. I don't think it's not possible, but I do want to remind everybody, Magomed Ankalaev is a striker in every sense of the word. I don't know if people see the beard, no mustache. I don't know if people know that he's from Dagestan and make the assumptions and correlation with Habib and Islam. That's not the case whatsoever. This guy is 110% a slick striker who wants to be striking. And most of the time when he utilizes his grappling is when he's somewhat at the same level as his opponent, or his opponent is having somewhat of success. And it's a game plan type of thing to grapple. Now, can he grapple? Can he take these huge light heavyweights to the ground effectively? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Is he a wrestler? No. Can he wrestle? Yes. So I just wanted to clear the air there. Now, Alex Pereira, in a lot of senses of the word, a one-dimensional fighter, a guy who's going to break you with his leg kicks. He's going to move forward when necessary. He's going to counter strike, and he has the meanest left hook of all time. He's putting guys to sleep whenever he wants. He's beat Hiri. He's beat Jamal. He's beat Adesanya. He's beat them all. He's at Khalil Roundtree now. He's taking people out. But I think it's safe to say, and I think you have to agree with me here, he's never fought anyone like Magomed Ankalaev. And if you don't agree, I don't know what to tell you. None of his last 5 fights, have been like Magomed Ankalaev. I truly believe that. Now, the problem with this fight, and this is why it's a coin toss to me, is that anybody who goes in there with Alex Pereira is facing a very dangerous first round and is facing a very dangerous latter end of the fight. Because no matter what, Alex Pereira is going to keep his power throughout the fight. Alex Pereira knows how to utilize it, and he's going to move forward. And we've seen him break people down, like when he first faced Adesanya in the UFC, right? When he beat Khalil Roundtree. These were late in the rounds, and both of those fights were close. And Alex Pereira found the finish because he breaks down his opponents, and he's known for doing so, and he's very effective in doing so. So now, when we have both of these guys, you have the power of Alex Pereira, the ability to break down your opponent, right? And then you have Magomed Ankalaev, which you say, good striker, but not a lot of finishing ability. Alex is a kickboxer. He might see everything coming. He might react really well to all the striking. But then you have the wrestling, like we spoke about. What do I think is going to happen here? I think Magomed Ankalaev is definitely the decider of where this goes. If he starts off striking and waits to find out if he's willing to strike with Alex Pereira, it's too late. That man is going to be face down in the octagon. He cannot give Alex Pereira a chance to show off his tools. And Magomed Ankalaev, chin really never been tested in the sense of he's never really been checked in that way. Up to now, we would like to say he has a chin, but that doesn't even matter against Alex Pereira. Magomed Ankalaev has also had trouble checking leg kicks. So Magomed's movement and footwork is going to be affected. So Magomed Ankalaev needs to go in there. He needs to present his striking ability, and he quickly needs to make a decision to bring down Alex Pereira and start going to work. Start tiring out Alex Pereira. Start showing him that this fight is going to be a long one for you. And you're in for 25 minutes of deep waters with me. And every time a round starts, Magomed Ankalaev is in deep trouble. But now, after that first takedown, or after that second takedown, or him proving that he could keep Alex Pereira down for a few minutes, Alex Pereira is going to get a little more desperate now. Because he knows once he gets to the ground, he's not getting up. That's going to be a thing. And also, Magomed Ankalaev is going to start opening up his game, which I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if gaining confidence striking with Alex Pereira is a good thing, because he's going to fool you and he's going to catch you off guard. But once Magomed Ankalaev is able to open up his striking because of the grappling threat, which I don't think will always be there. I don't think the grappling threat will always be there because Alex Pereira has good takedown defense. But once he proves that if he gets to work and methodically breaks him down, takes him to the fence, gets a single leg, brings him down, holds him down, Alex Pereira starts fighting a little different. And when Alex Pereira starts fighting a little different, I think that's where Magomed Ankalaev is going to be successful. And up to about 2 hours ago, I didn't know who I was going to select here because I think both of these guys are live. I think Alex Pereira, for the duration of the fight, is dangerous. I love him. I've only got one of his fights wrong, and it wasn't even his loss to Israel Adesanya. I bet against him another time, but I got that one right. I said, I am not a fan of going against Alex Pereira. But ladies and gentlemen, I will say it right here. The run is over. Magomed Ankalaev is going to beat Alex Pereira. It's going to happen. And it's going to happen because, in my opinion, Magomed Ankalaev is the better mixed martial artist. Magomed Ankalaev is going to be able to demonstrate more tools in there. Magomed Ankalaev, if he plays his card right, is going to outclass Alex Pereira because he's able to mix in the grappling and the striking. Now, with that being said, for me, this fight is still a 50-50, and Alex Pereira is still live the whole time. I will say, I'm an Alex Pereira fan. I'm rooting for Alex Pereira, but my bets, my predictions are all going Magomed Ankalaev. And it pains me to say it, but that is what I'm selecting. And I know this card is tough. And I know there's so many what ifs and what ifs and freaking, I don't even know what to call it. A lot of what ifs. We'll leave it at that. But this fight is truly going to be the first round, Alex Pereira or Magomed Ankalaev having successful rounds for 4 rounds and hanging on for dear life, hoping he doesn't get caught. But if he's hanging on for dear life, he's going to be the more successful one. He's going to get the grappling exchanges. He is a very good striker. He is very quick on his feet. He is southpaw. And not only that, but now I'm giving Alex Pereira another pro. Magomed Ankalaev has this bad tendency of dropping his lead hand. So long story short, I'm like so torn. As you can see, I'm giving points for both guys. I'm going Magomed Ankalaev, guys. I just think he's a better mixed martial artist. In a time like this, that's who I have to lean with. He's probably hungrier. He's never had the belt. Alex Pereira's had it for some time now. Let's see what happens. I'm on the fence, but I'm falling towards Magomed Ankalaev. Have a good one, guys. Be sure to go subscribe to all my exclusive bets on Instagram, $4.99 a month. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was a bit wishy-washy. This is really a tough card, and I hope you understand that. Long story short, please subscribe. I appreciate all of you. Have a good one.